Hello everyone and welcome to the Adam Kiss Show. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite movies, Dr. Zhivago. I'm very excited, so before we get right into it, I'm just going to ask you please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We got plenty of great content coming your way. Give us a like, a share, and comment below what other videos you'd like me to do. Alright, let's get into Dr. Zhivago. So Dr. Zhivago was directed by David Lean, one of my favorite directors of all time. And it's based on the novel by Boris Pasternak, Dr. Zhivago, the same name. And it's really a masterpiece of cinema. Now, I know that this was panned by critics when it came out, and probably even since then. I mean, I think it's really gone up in estimation since then, but I've always considered it a masterpiece. I think it's one of David Lean's best movies. It's probably my second favorite David Lean movie. I know that's sacrilege to say. My first would have to be Lawrence of Arabia, and then most people would say Bridge on the River Kwai. That's where I'm different. I would say Dr. Zhivago, then Bridge on the River Kwai. So clearly that is my own unique perspective. And after that I would probably say Ryan's Daughter. No, I would say Brief Encounter, then Ryan's Daughter, then A Passage to India. And, then a couple others. I mean, I've seen probably about 3 or 4 others of his movies in addition to those. But I absolutely love his work, what I've seen. He hasn't directed as many movies as you'd think. I mean, I've probably seen about 12 of his movies. He's maybe directed, 16 movies in his life, which isn't all that much. I mean, he definitely spent a lot of times making movies. He took it very seriously. And honestly, later in life, it took him 5 years to make a movie. And then later in life, he spent 14 years without making a single movie, in between the critics panning Ryan's Daughter and making his last film, A Passage to India. And that's really a terrible thing. I mean, Dr. Zhivago was panned, Ryan's Daughter was panned. Basically what the critics didn't like is he kept doing these big epic movies, and they just didn't like that he kept doing these big expensive movies. And I think that the quality absolutely didn't go down at all. It's just that the opinion of them changed. That's my personal opinion, but I don't think that, I think that he continued to make great movies. I really liked all of his movies. I liked Ryan's Daughter and A Passage to India as well. Maybe not as much as Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Zhivago, but I'm definitely a fan of that big, epic filmmaking. I absolutely love all that. So again, I'm a big fan. As for Dr. Zhivago, something that always interests me is the fact that a lot of it was shot in Spain. A lot of those scenes, in those heavy Russian coats and things like that were shot in the scorching sun in Spain in the extreme heat. So that's just a little bit of movie magic. I mean, it's crazy how these things happen. The movie stars Omar Sharif as the title character. And the interesting thing is that David Lean discovered Omar Sharif for Lawrence of Arabia, where he plays a very, very important character. I mean, probably the second most important character in that entire movie. In terms of importance, in terms of screen time, probably in terms of all of that. And then when Omar Sharif heard that David Lean was making Dr. Zhivago, he wrote to him asking for, I believe, the part of Pasha, one of the, not the most important character, definitely not the title role. And David Lean wrote back saying, "Oh, I'm not sure if I see you in that role. Would you consider the lead?" So Omar Sharif, of course, accepted, and the rest is history. It's interesting because, Omar Sharif is Middle Eastern. He's, I believe, Egyptian of heritage, so they kind of had to do a lot of stuff to make him look more, Russian, more Caucasian. Like, I think they had to, put tape behind the eyes to do all that kind of stuff. They did all kinds of stuff, around his face to try to make him look more Russian. I don't believe they used prosthetics or anything like that, but they did some mild alterations, which couldn't have been comfortable, to make him look, more Russian, or at least, Eastern Russian, somewhere like that. I remember an interview where David Lean talked extensively about that. He was talking, well, I think it can work. Maybe if we say he's from the eastern part of Russia, then probably it could work. So I think it was a great choice. I think he did absolutely great in the role. I'm definitely a fan. I think that it's really probably his best performance. And the interesting thing is that David Lean told him, "I don't want you to be good in this movie." He said, "I don't want anyone to say that you're good, because the character is really just the lens that the audience sees the story through." And I believe that that's what David Lean said. And he's he didn't want Omar Sharif to react too much to everything. He just wanted, he plays a poet. Dr. Zhivago is a poet, and he just wanted like the audience to see the story through that lens. And obviously, it's a romantic story. It's about the Russian Revolution, but it's not really about the Russian Revolution. It's about the characters, the tragedies, the love stories that go on along the way. I know it's been an inspiration for many other directors other than me. Steven Spielberg has cited it as a big inspiration for him. Another one, which is very evident, is James Cameron. He said that was definitely a big inspiration, and I can see that because Titanic is literally modeled after Dr. Zhivago. Now, I've never heard anyone say this, but this is a news flash for everyone. Titanic is basically Dr. Zhivago. So, hear me out. So, it starts in the same way that it starts in the present day, whatever that present day of that movie is. And then it goes back, in all those flashbacks, and then it goes back to the present day, to the person explaining the story. Then it goes back, and then back to the present day. And they have the same kind of, bittersweet ending. And really, it's just, I believe, I've never heard anyone say this, but I believe that Titanic is literally modeled after Dr. Zhivago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just my belief. So I'm sticking to it. But anyway, it's been a big inspiration for so many. The cinematography is great, the direction's great, the screenplay is great, the source material is great. It's all great. I mean, I definitely love Russian literature. I've been a fan of it. War and Peace, Crime and Punishment, the brothers Karamazov, Anna Karenina. Basically, I've just been talking Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, but there's so many others. Like Your Fathers and Sons is another great book, and Dr. Zhivago is another great book. So it's all great. I mean, I think it's a great adaptation. It's definitely one of those instances where the book did not suffer in the adaptation. It's really incredibly shot, and I just love it. So those are some of my thoughts on Dr. Zhivago. Definitely tune in for more videos and comment below what other videos you'd like me to do. Thanks so much, and that's all, folks.